All right, attendance. Everybody's coming on now. Participants, we got Jimbo. What is going on there? You record notices. Article EE. All right, we're waiting for a few more planning board members, specifically our chairperson. Hello, everyone. It looks like, Royce, we have all the planning board members we're going to have this evening.
We have a quorum as far as I can tell.
Yes.
If everybody's here that's going to be here, I guess we can start the meeting. And I don't know if we have a flag to salute, but
We do not, but we can still do it if you would like.
okay. So pledge without the flag?
I can go find one.
Well, that's all right. We can just pledge. I'll start. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
To
and
the
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now we can begin. Is Corey, are you a full member yet, Corey? Have you been sworn in as a, because there's no, we don't have any associate members.
Oh, I haven't been sworn in, but you made me a voting member last week or last month.
Yeah, you're a voting member now. I guess you'd have to go to the town hall and get sworn in as a full member. I don't know. Is that? Does that
Actually, I did go see. I've forgotten her name, but the girl at the town office. Maybe I did swear in.
You did originally. I can put on the council agenda to make Corey a full member.
We have only 7 people. There's nobody to be temporary members.
I'll take care of that for the next town council meeting.
Okay, good. So yeah, for all intents and purposes, Corey, you're a full member of the board. First thing we have to deal with is the adoption of the minutes, and unless anybody's got a problem with last month's minutes, I can take a motion, but it isn't always necessary. Planning board minutes, April.
I'll make the motion, Royce, that we adopt the minutes of April 12, 2021.
Yeah, I'm trying to find them in this package of stuff all over the place there. But yeah, unless nobody has a problem with the minutes, it'll, we can pass them all. I'll just let everybody say aye. Everybody in favor of the minutes, accepting the minutes, raise your hand and say aye.
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 Opposed?
So who is the second? Does Tom want to be the second?
Yeah, I'll be the second.
Thank you so much.
Technically, I don't even think we need a motion to do it. I think we just bring it up, but we can let that ride for a while. We've got a public hearing right now. Is there anybody here to speak at that public hearing? We have a letter that Catherine sent.
So I'm Nate Picard. I'm the reason we're having the public hearing.
Yeah, I can see your face, but I don't see anybody else's face. So I'm wondering how this is gonna work as a public meeting. But anyway, yeah, Nate, go ahead and speak. And
No, I'm here to field any questions or concerns about the nature of the project.
yeah, I figured, let me see.
If you'd like, Royce, I can read the letter, and we did receive a letter late this afternoon too. Another, just a few comments from 2 citizens. So I
Okay.
can read those so that everybody could know what's included.
Okay, the letter from John Connolly.
Yeah, we have a letter from John Conley. John writes, my wife Andrea and I own property on the Barney Chinket Road, tax map 4, lot 33-1. We do not want a shooting range in our backyard. Our house sits 800 feet from the property line closest to the proposed shooting range. And when the tree cutting machine and skidders are clearing the area for the range, it sounds like they are in our backyard. We have lived on this property for 30 years and have enjoyed the quiet. Usually the only time we hear gunshots is during hunting season. Some of our concerns are, will the shooting range be fenced in to keep the animals out and to keep the shooters in? 2, how will it be monitored to only allow access to members and to enforce the range rules? Hunting is not allowed on Sundays. Will the shooting range be allowed to operate on Sundays? Our property value has already decreased because the road is not maintained by the town. And we are afraid that a shooting range next door, we would never be able to sell our property. Sincerely, John and Andrea. So that's letter 1.
Did everybody get that letter in their emails?
Yes.
We were able to send that one out to people. The second one came in late this afternoon, so we didn't send it to you.
Okay. And the second one is it from the same people or is it from?
The second one is from Tom Fletcher, and it indicates to the planning board, this is in regard to the proposed shooting range on map 4. I am concerned about the noise. I work nights and the gunfire would be disruptive to my sleep. I would also like to know about control of the firing line and who would be in charge as trains go by. There is also the need to address the safety of the residents on Snake Root Road who would be in a direct line of fire of the shooting, along with the farmers who work the field, which is also in the line of fire. So if we want to answer those questions, I can read each one separately and then we can get an answer from Nate or anybody else.
Yeah, each one seems as though it had a couple of different issues to address.
Yeah, I could go back to the first letter. 1, will the shooting range be fenced in to keep the animals out and to keep the shooters in?
Okay, Nate,
No, there will be no fence, but the property will be posted. And there will be rules about no shooting at wildlife.
Okay. How would it be monitored to only allow access to members and to enforce the range rules?
So the property would be posted, and then the physical layout of the property, you have to go up a road, and the parking pad would give you only one way of access to the shooting line. Really have visual control and a physical control right there. The control of the firing line is based off of military range flag control, and the private membership people would be trained on how to use that.
Hunting is not allowed on Sundays. Will the shooting range be allowed to operate on Sundays?
Right now, yes. I don't see a reason to.
Okay, they're concerned about property values. I'm not sure that's a question we can answer. I do know on the road part that even if your road is not maintained by the town, so far property values don't seem to be less on a town non-town maintained road versus a town maintained one. But they're thinking a shooting range next door that would decrease their property value.
I have no knowledge as to property values, particularly when you're talking about the distances we're talking. We're talking, in excess of half a mile from the point of origin. The sound at that point wouldn't be heard indoors. But as far as property values, I have no background or references to say whether property value would be affected.
When you said half mile, the distance from where the shooting range would be taking place to 2 or 3 houses there is quite less than half a mile.
I think the closest one that I've seen on Google View is just over 1,500 feet.
Well, that's not
which is less than half, I guess. The majority of residences are well beyond that.
The second letter from Tom Fletcher, his house is, those fields down below you, the second field down, his house is right next to that one, which isn't that far away. And
I'm not sure where Tom Fletcher lives.
Well, if you look at the maps, I don't have the map here in front of me, but if you're looking at Route 100 up across the fields towards where your shooting range is, he's just to the left-hand side of that second field in. So he's half the distance. Now, not quite half the distance from the Route 100 to where your shooting range is on the left-hand side. And technically, he did. I don't know if he got a letter or not, because he technically isn't a budding landowner, but he's fairly close.
You have to show me on an overview.
I'll see if I can.
Is he located inside of? I'm gonna pull up Google Maps on my computer.
So looking at the list and the requirements of the site plan review, Tom did not get a letter. Walter got a letter.
Right. Walter owns the property just to the southwest of Nate's property, but Tom Fletcher's was cut out of that one, and it's basically, and I don't have the tax map in front of me, but I'm trying to find a picture. Yeah.
But Tom did know because he brought a letter down, which
Correct. Okay, so
looking at the Google overhead view, the closest habitated structure, it looks like a trailer off of the Barney Chinquette Road, and that's the one that's approximately 1,500 feet away. Closest house off of Route 100 is almost double that. So yeah, by by a significant amount, Tom Fletcher is farther away than compared to the Barney Chinquette Road trailer. Looks like the one that's right across from your old facility, Tom. I'm not sure who
Right.
lives there.
Well, there's a mobile home right across, but the other house for John Connolly is right across too, and that one's actually in from the road, 800 feet compared to that trailer is only in probably 100 feet. I'm just trying to get to the right paper here. Yeah, so I think it's lot number 108, or on the paper we've got the attachment 4. John Connolly's is number 108, then the trailer's on 98.
Mhm.
But
Well, regardless, I do believe that the state law requires a minimum of 300, and we are multiple times of that away from the closest habited structure.
yeah, I know there's a couple fellows that have target shot a little bit up on the farm property, and probably 1,500, 2,000 feet from the farm, and with high powered, and it's quite noticeable even inside the buildings. So that, I guess our big concern is the noise on, without having, actually heard what it might be. It's hard to determine just how much noise it would be. Would you have any objections to doing some test shots? So at a couple different locations, we'd have an idea what the sound is.
Where?
Do we lose them?
Where'd Nate go?
Oh, he lost his video.
It's
His sound was going in and out there for a bit.
Right.
seems like it's getting more difficult to figure out just exactly what this. We might want to revisit the idea of having a site visit to see what it looks like.
All right, he's
Yeah.
coming back here.
A site visit with a demonstration would be quite helpful, I think, to all involved.
Yeah, I wish more people showed up so we could have an actual meeting here. But
Well, the Zoom meetings are okay for certain things, but not for a public hearing.
yeah. But right now we don't really have much of an option, do we?
Well, all depends on how you want to look at it.
Well, that's a good point. Do we now? Because the town council is now meeting in person, right?
Yeah.
They were, and then they reverted to Zoom. And they may be reverting back to meetings. It goes back and forth depending on the school color system and whether it's green or one of the other colors.
Okay, but I mean, as far as the state is concerned, we can now hold meetings in person, right?
Well, you could all along for quite some time. The room is so small with a 6-foot distance between everyone that you can only fit a few people in. So
Right.
when you had your planning board meetings, people were too close to each other for some of those meetings. So depending on how many people come, we have to move the people in and out and put them outside in the hallway. So that's why we have the Zoom.
But
Hi,
so many people have the
I'm
vaccination.
back. Hopefully you can hear me.
Okay, I can see you now too.
Welcome back.
So I think when Tom was raising concerns about the noise at the distances.
Yeah, basically, as you were out, we discussed a little bit that, potentially a site review with potential demonstration might have a lot clearer, pro or con, depending on how we're looking at things, so everybody knows exactly, because rifle shots are rifle shots until you actually hear what's going on. you know, and I don't want, I want to make it clear that I'm not against hunting or against rifles or anything, but it just, you know, people right next there might not want to listen to that, you know, all week or all weekend.
So, Tom, what is an acceptable decibel range and how would we measure that to put people's concerns at rest? If you
I
know what I
guess
mean?
Yeah, and I can't
So-
answer that. You know, I'm not.
So I can answer that. It's in the town ordinance.
Okay.
The town ordinance says that at the property boundary line, over an 8-hour time-adjusted, time-weighted study, you have to be at 75 decibels or less.
Okay.
Which I'm not sure how much experience anybody has with measuring sound. I do because of my manufacturing background. Now, gunfire is loud, but it lasts for 3 milliseconds. So that 8-hour weighted average, in order to get over that 75 decibel, you need an awful lot of people firing. And the nature of this range isn't that. You know, I would have an awful lot of members coming in shooting every day for 8 hours a day in order to meet that 75 decibel requirement for time weighted average, given the nature of the spike of how the sound works with gun range, particularly given the fact that the majority of the other time would be between 30 and 40 decibels of a quiet forest. So the example, if you want to do an example, it would be essentially a waste of time to try to, you know, prove meeting a town ordinance. I mean, I know I already do, given that requirement, and I don't believe it would benefit anyone.
Right. So if we were, let's say, to go on to one of those properties, someone with a concern about the sound, if we were able to do that and measure the decibels, even at that moment that the shot, you know, makes a noise, in my mind, I don't think that would exceed what is reasonable. And I think if they could see it in numbers, it would make them feel reassured that we took their complaint seriously. We looked into it. We did everything we could, and just reassure them that we're doing the right thing, you know, going forward.
Yeah, I
don't know.
mean, obviously, the thing is, I can't do a sound test until I can't do a dosimeter time study of the sound if I don't get approved. I'm not gonna be up there for 8 hours shooting a rifle.
Well, yeah, and that isn't what I was implying either, because that wouldn't be realistic. You know, what we're trying to show them is what it really is, you know, not the worst case scenario, but what it actually is.
Yeah, absolutely, and I understand that the nature of the range. It's a long distance gun range. Will it be heard? Yes, but the nature of sound and the fact that the majority of the year leaves will be up, most of that sound will be dampened. You won't hear it inside, and it will be run during normal business hours. It won't be. There's no lights. There won't be 2 a.m. machine gun bursts going off. We're talking single shot rifles. And the reality is, it's an expensive sport. There won't be a lot of people doing it.
Sure.
It takes a long time to shoot, takes a long time to adjust. It's not a rapid fire like the machine gun range up in Anson. No one's going to be bursting off 200 rounds.
Right. And I think those are all things that should play into the equation, you know, to be fair.
This is Mark LaGrosse. If I may make a suggestion to the board.
Yes, speak up, Mark.
Okay, you know, there are noise engineers out there, and if it is the decision of the board to look at noise out there, that we ask the applicant to hire one of those independent engineers and do a sound study in this area to, and I'm sure there's different levels of sound studies that can take place that replicate shooting and noises in that regard that can meet our standard or show that it meets our standard. And that pretty much shows that our due diligence has occurred in completing this, that noise matter. So I'll just throw that out as a suggestion there. I don't know if that's what Mr. Cody was looking at as being a level there of engineering to be done for this or not, but maybe that's what the board should be looking at.
Yeah, I wasn't
In
sure
this
about, level of engineering, but, basically if, to have some demonstration so you'd have an idea, it might not be as bad as we think it might be, but, we don't know until we hear hear from that actual angle.
Yeah.
So
I guess my thing would be, now that we're talking about noise, I mean, I think that to really put it to rest is to have a noise study done. Have the client look at doing a noise study, and we have that on the record as being accomplished, and we have a standard in there, like, so.
Well, let me throw a few questions out here. Just last month, I think, Nate, you said it wasn't open to automatic weapons? You weren't gonna have,
no, yeah,
okay.
no, this,
so you're not gonna have bursts. You're gonna have single shots.
Right.
You're gonna have regular hours. There are gonna be times when the gates are closed and nobody can go in, or is this gonna be open? And
correct.
so, I mean,
No, it's only, correct. There'll be regular work hours essentially. In the summertime, they might extend hours for certain events or things like that, but generally speaking, it'll be done an hour before sunset, and then there won't be any shooting before 8 a.m.
okay, so maybe 8 a.m. to an hour before sunset, and maybe it could be a condition that the hours would have to be shortened up, I guess, for some people to accept it, but I'm not gonna, that's just something I'm throwing out right now. I'm not saying it's gonna happen. So are certain people gonna be allowed to go in when you're not there? Or is this gonna be?
It'll be a private club. It'll be a private club entrance. So you'll have to be vetted in order to join. You have to sign waivers and statements of competency.
But you don't necessarily have to be there on site for members to go in.
No. The clientele that this is aimed at is it's not a public gun range. You can't just show up and go shoot.
Yeah, okay, that's something I want everybody to know. And to do a noise study. So I mean, I'm thinking about the frequency of gunfire. It's, if you're gonna have a shot, just sporadic shots, I wonder how you can actually do a good study. Unless you had noise all the time.
Well, I think that would be a decision of the noise engineer in the sense of making that report. I'm not saying to be out there. I mean, I think it's just a thought that should be considered.
So I've got background in measuring noise because of my manufacturing background and making sure that people are exposed to dangerous levels. And essentially what it is, if you're not actually there doing a sound study at the physical location with the sound occurring with a dosimeter, it's all just math equations, which I could put together an Excel spreadsheet really quick and show you. It's really not that hard math. You just put in how long is it at this decibel, how long is it at that decibel, and then it shows you the time weighted average. You can do an 8-hour period, you can do a 1-hour period, you can do instantaneous. And that's all that an engineer would be able to provide is that math, which is relatively simple. the times, the actual real world study, I mean, not to say my range is not going to be successful, but I think it'll be years before we have enough people regularly shooting to come anywhere close to getting above the town ordinance of 75 decibels over a time weighted 8-hour average. I'd like to think we have plenty of people quick enough, but it's highly unlikely. There just aren't that many people.
I don't think
in
the
this sport.
decibel range is the big issue. I think it's, it is the, it's going to be a loud noise, but for a short period of time, each shot, but it will be a continuous noise over a period of a number of hours.
Yeah, but we'll be below
I don't
the
think
ordinance.
anybody's worried
We'll be
about
below the
losing-
requirement that the town has already set.
Right.
We'll be below that. We'll be below the threshold that the town has set.
I think if you're gonna look at the issue of noise, you're gonna have to measure the noise at a residence that's close to the range.
Well, he just read out the ordinance and it's at the property line. And the issue there on that piece of property is the property lines, there's 4 or 5 property lines relatively real close.
So
Nate,
the other thing is
Nate, I got a question.
go ahead,
for you.
please. Yes, sir.
Is your property set up now that you could do a demonstration with a caliber that you plan on firing?
We'd have to build a backstop. We'd have to put a berm up that's properly constructed. In theory, yes. I'd say.
Okay, what about Chimbro? What about Chimbro's firing range? Could you do a demonstration there?
I
know
don't.
I know it's not the
mean,
same conditions, but all I'm getting at is invite the concerned people there, fire the caliber you plan on using, and just let them have a feel for the noise. And if there's concern beyond that, then maybe do the study. But you could at least give them a taste of what the noise may be. I know Chimbro's got a
sure.
range.
Yeah, that's.
And you could stand off down there in that training area over a distance and get a rough idea. I know the trees and foliage is not there, but you could get an idea. I mean, that'd be a simple step, and to just invite the concerned citizens there to observe it.
So I've been around guns a lot, right? I'm ex-military. I've done multiple tours overseas. I've got a lot of experience with weapons and firearms. I would like to be able to replicate that. I think if we could demonstrate a similar environment with have the concerned people be as far away as their residences are through similar foliage, I think that would be great. We could probably do it at our property. I mean, I can probably get a backstop thrown up, not too difficult. Throw some sand down too, just to make sure that the projectile doesn't do a skip.
I mean, does this make sense to do that?
My opinion, obviously, is no. The Vermont State Police did a study on gunfire in the late 2000s because there was a gun range put into Vermont, and the article was very surprising at how quickly the sound died down from a decibel level. Even at 100 feet, things like shotguns were only registering at 75 decibels, and that's at the peak. I mean, gunfire, the reason why it's so jolting is the instantaneous nature of it, right? It's not necessarily even that it's even loud when you hear it at a distance, it's that it's the quick spike.
I mean, you understand it and you're versed in it, but abutting landowners are not, or they may not be, but I'm just saying if it's an easy demonstration to do, then I think that'd be the good step. Then if there's concern beyond that, you can do the sound study. Just a thought.
Tom, what do you think? Tom, are you still on that?
Yep.
Are you
Yeah.
still thinking that? I guess I'm Brent's assessment and I think if to proceed here and there's enough discussion here with sound and and such. And if Nate doesn't want to initiate the sound study or doesn't feel like that is something that is necessary at this time, and his background and such of the whole thing, it seems to be not going to be a positive thing, then I guess that from my seat that, going out there and doing a demonstration and making that effort to do a demonstration for this board would be a good thing to
Well,
move this along.
Like Brent was saying too, we don't have to do an official sound study to just go out, pop a few shots and let the people experience what it's going to sound like. Yeah, we used to have people shooting all the time when we lived in Plymouth, all around us. And, at first it was a little weird, but then we knew what it was and we just didn't worry about it,
Well,
And that was really, like you said, it's that sudden pop.
put the invitation out to the concerned budding landowners, and if no one shows up, then there's part of your answer, right? I mean, if there's.
Yeah. I think it needs to be done.
That's how I'd do it.
I think it needs to be done on the property because that's.
I
most
do too. I think
realistic
that's the
place to
only
have it.
way to, because they won't
Yeah,
be
I
reassured
agree.
by doing it somewhere else.
I agree to make that effort on the property. Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, we can do that. I mean, any high-powered hunting rifle will do. Even a 30-06 Springfield will work. They're all in the relatively same decibel level when they're discharged.
I think the caliber you were talking about, the target range, if that's the primary, gun that's going to be used and ammo, that's probably what should be demoed, just to be that way. There is no
Right.
question.
Right.
Well, there's a lot of different, high caliber weapons out there that are going to be used. And they're all the decibel range for all of them will be very similar. I don't own a 30-06. I don't own these, 50 caliber. I don't own a 338 Lapua. But again, I mean, you can Google pretty fast and find out that all of those caliber rifles are going to be discharging at a very similar decibel level.
So my question would be how to actually set up this demonstration. But even before we get to that point, we ought to make a motion that we can not necessarily table this review, but until we get that question resolved with the noise, we should, well, I don't know if table is the right word, but we should
So you want,
revisit this review after we get this demonstration.
so you
Okay.
want to close your public hearing first before you make any decisions or recommendations.
Oh, yeah, all right. We still are on a public hearing.
You're done with everything. There's another letter that we should go through. It's sort of the same things, but I think there's one question that's involved with that.
Okay, yeah, let's go through all those questions and get through this issue.
All right, very good. Second letter is from Tom Fletcher, who is not technically an abutter under the conditions of the site plan review, but sounds like he's very close. To the planning board, this is in regard to the proposed shooting range, and so he notes that he works at night and the gunfire would be disrupted to his sleep. So obviously he's sleeping during the day. So he wanted to know the control of the firing line and who would be in charge as trains go by.
So the firing line, the firing path doesn't cross the train tracks, and we don't hinder on any of the required setbacks from the railroad. So I would say that that's a moot question. It's we have no impact on the railroad. The control of the firing line is controlled by the military style range colors, flags being flown. Again, it's a private club, private entrance, control. You won't just have people showing up and shooting whatever they want. These are usually, people with a background that have the means to have this type of hobby.
All right, and the last item is the concern about the safety of the residents on Snake Root Road, who Tom indicates would be in direct line of fire of the shooting, along with the farmers who work the field, who he perceives is in the line of fire.
Well, so the backstop, or the berm, as it's called, will be built to the Department of Energy standards for range berms. If you were to look up the other kind of larger gun ranges in the state, in Falmouth, Scarborough, from their impact locations to housing developments that are in the direct line of fire, one's 1,000 feet, the other is 1,700 feet, and those are in the direct line of fire, and there are multiple houses development. From our point of impact to the closest structure on Snake Root is 1,900 feet. From point of origin is 4,900 feet. So if anybody knows anything about projectiles coming out of a rifle, to get to that distance, you're talking about holding your rifle at a 45-degree angle. So anybody who's been doing this for a while and is going to be allowed to be part of the club, to be vetted, will immediately know, hey, something's wrong. I've got my dope set wrong. My rifle's in the wrong position. And the dope is the way that you've set your sight so that you hit what you want to hit. So the distances are significant enough that if there were to be some insane mistake happening that would allow a projectile to travel those distances, anybody looking at it would know something's wrong before they pull the trigger.
All right, that was the end of Tom's letter. So those were the two written comments that we received, and there apparently are not any verbal except for the ones that Tom is bringing forth for his neighbors.
Yeah, I'd like to say that, Falmouth, Scarborough, they have ranges that are much, much closer than what we're talking about, in much more popular areas, and in areas with extremely high property values. Williams Machine Gun Range up in Anson, they're pointed they're a machine gun range, and they're pointed out right across the Kennebec at a bunch of farming fields that are still regularly used. There's precedent in the state for ranges to be allowed in far more highly populated places than this. And I would probably guess in towns that have far more strict noise ordinance controls, particularly when being outside of town center here. So that's really what I'd like to say, is that in my background, understanding how to design ranges, how to design impact berms, purposely setting it as far back off the road as I possibly can, as far away. That it's all deliberate in order to keep the neighbors to keep the noise as far away as possible. There aren't many 1,000-yard ranges east of the Mississippi. There certainly aren't any in Maine. There's only a couple north of Pennsylvania, and only a couple, and fewer than that, that are dedicated 1,000 yards. So it is a product that could be beneficial. I think it could draw attention, or draw eventually people to Pittsfield.
Nate, I got a couple of things there. Then, were you finished?
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm Mark LaGrosse. So you brought up about the ranges in Scarborough and Falmouth a couple times, I think. Well, this maybe once here and once back on the last meeting. And I guess I would just say that I suspect that probably their sound ordinance probably might be steeper than ours. But I also probably expect that they went and did a sound study. Were required to have a sound study brought in with their application before getting acceptance there. You know, the sense of, this range being 1,000 feet south of or north of the Mississippi. So I think that's good that we're asking some questions about sound and taking a little time to look at this as a board to make sure that we do our due diligence as members to get sufficient information and questions answered here before, approving anything here. So, I mean, I guess, if I think that we should go back to, if Nate, if you're still are thinking yes or no on doing a test out there per the board's request, I think that would be a good effort to proceed at that.
Oh, I'm happy to do a test. Yeah. I'm happy to do the test.
Okay. I think that would be the next step here, that in the sense of getting that schedule, getting that set up, and getting that squared around.
I think if you need a variety of rifles to try different calibers, Mo would probably be a very good source. He's a hunter and he trains dogs and so on. So I'm sure he won't mind my giving his name as a source he could help out with that.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. So do we have any more questions? For the meeting, for the public meeting? Or any more comments?
Should we tentatively schedule a day that we could invite the people in the neighborhood? I'd just like to see us do something today that leads to the next step, not to drag it out.
I think we need to close the public hearing first, then go to that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
So we're still in the middle of a public hearing, so if
All
there's
right.
more comments and no more questions, we can have I'll take a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, raise your hands. Say
Aye.
yeah. All opposed? Okay, the public meeting is closed. And now we can work on where we're going to go from here. So we're considering a site visit or a sound study or both, and we can.
So the sound study, I mean, I don't feel it's necessary for me to go find a sound engineer and have them work up a simple math equation that I can do. I can do the sound study and show you and substantiate the math. But the demonstration, I think, if that would help, I would very much like to do that.
Maybe we could.
The board think.
We could schedule that, a couple of weeks ahead and invite the neighborhood, the people that are concerned and their neighbors, to let them know that there will be that happening on that day. And then if they have any objections after that, to contact the planning board, and we'll rehear that. Does that make sense?
So I do think some details on that need to be worked out, because if you were to come right next to where a weapon is fired, you would be amazed at how loud it is with
Right,
unprotected
no,
hearing.
they have to be where they live. That's where they're
Okay,
gonna hear it.
Great.
Yeah, that's what.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
that's
thinking.
why I said, just let them know that's gonna be happening and they can hear. So they'll know it's
Okay,
gonna
great.
happen. And
Yeah, like like if Tom Fletcher's going to be sleeping in the daytime, is the noise going to really be that bothersome?
we'll find out.
Yes, I think it would have to be held on either, probably a Saturday or something like that to give most people the access.
Yes, it would. Because some people may not be available during the week.
Sure. Saturday or Sunday. whatever works best.
But, that's what I'm hearing is people are saying that where they live, they're concerned about. the noise.
Exactly.
And if we could demonstrate what the noise would actually be like
That's right.
under normal circumstances.
At their property.
Yeah, and any other council member, any other board member that wanted to participate, there's two or three different
Right,
number of properties they could actually visit to get the sound. So they know.
right.
Yeah,
That's right. Yeah,
we could just coordinate everything with cell phones and
Right.
yeah.
things could be shot off at the range and we could be wherever we're supposed to be to hear what it sounds like.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that will give everybody that has concerns, a true feeling of what they're going to hear, or the closest possible to what they're
Right.
what they're hearing.
Yep. So now details to be hammered out. When do we do it? Yeah, that'll all have to be coordinated. I don't know if we're gonna try to coordinate all that today. I think it would be,
No, but we've all got email. We can,
Yeah.
do a blast.
But
Yeah,
I think it probably has to be in the 2-week range to give, so the notice can be sent out to the budding
right.
landowner.
That's what I was thinking, a couple of weeks in advance.
So I'm a drilling reservist, and I'll be drilling next weekend, so I won't be available.
okay.
Okay,
But yeah, I guess we do have to post it and let people know that this is gonna happen.
right,
And we all have to get together and show up
Right.
where we have to show up. And
right.
And if Catherine could do a favor where Tom Fletcher wasn't on the actual list, if you could respond back to him besides, that probably help out.
We would contact him.
Yeah, okay.
So where do we go from here? We're gonna kind of table the decision on this review until this happens. I don't think we're really I think we'll have to do a little bit of work behind the scenes after this meeting is over to actually
Right,
put together the details.
yeah,
Correct.
And then you're right, we do have email and we can get it together, I guess.
So you're all in agreement that you will have a site visit at a time that works for Nate to be able to get this set up. That gives at least 2 weeks so that we can get the notices out to everybody who got the notices before, post this, and also invite others who are in the vicinity.
Right. It technically won't be a site visit just because they'll be listening from their own properties as per se.
but we'll be there too at some of those
Right.
properties.
You'll be
Right.
there at different locations, so I'm gonna call it a site. We'll come
Right.
up with a word for what we're doing here.
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit better term.
So
So
if I could just say something, that I'm happy to do the demonstration in order to alleviate neighbors' concerns, but I would like to just say as a point of record that the application, this proposed project does not violate any aspect of any ordinance or code or state law, local law. This is a private enterprise on a private piece of land, and that I just let me noted that I'm kind of not going maybe a little bit above and beyond to prove to my neighbors that this is not as disruptive as some of the concerns may think it
Exactly.
could be.
I think in the end, it'll pay dividends because it'll put their mind at rest. At least they'll know that you went above and beyond, and it, like you said, it doesn't negate the fact that you're not breaking any laws, and you don't have to say, I'm not going to do it because someone, one person doesn't like it, but it will make better neighbors for you.
Absolutely, and I'm on board for that. Thank you.
Okay, I think we probably need a motion to, I guess we can say we're gonna table the review until we get more information from a site visit or from a demonstration.
I don't think you need a motion. You don't need any motion.
Don't think so?
No, I don't. We're just not,
I mean,
the application just isn't being fulfilled.
Yeah, that's true.
It just moves on, it moves on to the next,
right,
the next level of process, and we're not voting on anything. So.
right.
it's
I just would like to know that everybody's in agreement right now, that we don't have any real issues about the way we're gonna take it.
Well,
All right,
I'm,
I make a motion then that we move forward and let Nate do the scheduling, let Catherine do the contacting of the neighbors, do all of that between now and the next meeting. And when we re-adjourn, we'll have the outcome, and then we'll go from there.
The only reason I thought we might need a motion, if we call it a tabling, then we need a motion to table it, but
Sure.
if we're not technically tabling it, if we're just gonna continue with our review, then we can just leave it alone.
Okay.
So yeah, it's probably easier just to leave it alone. We'll get together and,
I take back my motion.
well, yeah, well, you know what I'm saying. I mean, yeah, we're not really under Robert's rules anyway, but,
You're right.
you know, and I hate to table things because there's all kinds of rules about how to untable shit.
All right.
Okay.
Simone's motion that's not a motion is what you've all by consensus agreed to. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and if we
Correct.
call it just
I'll second that.
second the none,
He's seconding my non-motion.
okay, so, you know, this will be taken up next month, apparently, so
Yeah, yes.
it'll just get, sorry, Nate, but we're just gonna drag you along for a while.
It's okay. It's good discourse. I'm glad everyone's, it's good for me to hear as the prospective owner of this enterprise. So I do appreciate it.
I'm gonna throw something else out there. Catherine sent a letter about the road access, whether a permit is needed for that road.
Oh, on the,
Yeah, I'm sorry. Please go ahead, Catherine.
I was going to note, the only thing that I found from going through, writing up the findings of fact and putting everything together, I'm assuming that you'll get your DOT permit, and we need to add that to the findings of fact. You didn't need one for the Woods Road, but you would probably need one for the gun range, because it's sort of viewed as a commercial activity, even though it's a club.
Yep, the permit arrived in the mail today. I'll be dropping it off with Steve Seekins tomorrow.
Right, great. I added that. I'll add that to the findings of fact, and then we'll have that for your self-storage one, because that's a business too. And then when we
Yes.
finalize your shooting range, we'll add that one in too.
Oh, do you want me to come down to the
Great.
town, sign anything for the self-storage?
Yes, I'm all set on that. I could send it to the whole findings of fact to you to look at first, or you can just come down and look at it. And we have,
Yeah. Yeah, if you're gonna be, or you can just leave it with somebody at the office, because I have to sign it. It's gotta be notarized,
yes.
all that stuff. Okay, I can do that tomorrow, I think. Or sometime tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else on the shooting range? And if not, we'll go into the new business, which is a site plan review application with a new hangar by Chinbro. And I see we have somebody from Chinbro that can speak on behalf of the site plan review.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hi, I'm Paul Doobie. I'm the properties manager for Chimbro. And I have with me tonight Anita Verrill, Harold Sherwood, and Lauren Walsh online. And we've continued to maintain the hangar we have currently at the airport, but the company would like to pursue a new hangar to be constructed in a new location there. And we've filed our application, and would like to get the consensus and hopefully approval from the board to proceed.
Okay, so we've got a binder and we've got all kinds of, well, we've got our finding of facts document in front of us. So we can just continue with one. Starting with section 7.
Chairman, this is Mark LaGrosse.
Yes, Mark?
Can I come right off with a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can we have the applicant just go through a quick presentation on the layout that they're proposing out there with their site existing conditions versus their new conditions for the new building?
Yeah, I think we got a book and we've got all kinds of information in that too. We can follow along with maps and stuff.
If I could just suggest that right off the bat, that would be great for myself anyways.
Yep.
Sure. Let me find that document and then I'll attempt to share my screen with you if I can.
I'll get that set up.
Appendix 2 has the existing conditions.
Where is it? Okay, so in Appendix 2, there's a section called existing conditions.
Yep.
So let me kind of see what we have going on here. I'm not trying to figure out how. Bear with me as I try to figure out how to share this. Share screen.
But we do have the maps in our booklets too,
Yes.
if that's any help.
Yes, maybe that would help. So if you go to Appendix 2, where are we here? There's not it. Let me find the right page. Bear with me here. And the right map. Okay, so there is a page in Appendix 2 that states this drawing references the upper right-hand corner, 8.2 B and D.
Yep.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
B and C.
So at the bottom of that print, at the bottom of that drawing, there's a graphic scale, and right above that, the large rectangular hangar is the current Chimbro hangar that we are in now.
Oh, wow.
And let's see if I can get back here. What am I doing? Get back to the meeting here, not right here. And what you'll see is we are currently, there was a structure on lease area B, which has since been torn down, but there remains a concrete slab there. And what we're looking to do is to lease lots B and C and build a replacement hangar between the hangar on lease area A and the beacon to the left.
And that new hangar size is 80 by 90, not 90 by 90, 80 by 90?
That's correct, 80 by 90.
Okay. So it's right adjacent to that beacon, where the symbol for the beacon is.
That's correct. Yep.
Gotcha.
Yep.
All righty. I'm halfway understanding the way things are going. Which is better than not at all. Okay, is there anything else that you want to say about it? To give us
Sure.
any more background?
Yeah, so the current building that we're in, when Chimbro updated their aircraft a number of years ago, the current structure is an old wood frame structure that the doors were widened, and it's kind of outlived its useful life for what we're looking for. And we're looking to just improve the conditions in which we store the airplane. And so with that opportunity, we decided that requirement or that need, we worked through some land changes and ended up with this opportunity on the outer edge of the airport to be able to tuck it into the current fence line that's there, which also would permit access directly from the street and for parking. Goes in, we can go directly into the hangar, we can get the aircraft out and then conduct our business.
Okay.
And this is Lauren. This work was also included in a Site Location Development Act permit revision back in, I think it was 2019, along with some other changes out at the airport. So it's been in the works since that time.
Anybody need more information? Any questions before we can look at the site plan application?
I got some more questions, Chairman, but I think it's just a matter of digging into those, finding the facts, and they'll get developed. Or
Okay.
get-
Find we get into our own application system. I'm gonna skip the public hearing and site inspection, and we'll pick that up after we've gone through the application. Fees shows a $400 fee paid, $150 technical review fee. That's the first question we have to answer, is whether or not the $150 is good enough for us. Well, and actually the question is whether a technical fee is required at all or not required. It's already been paid, and if that's okay with everybody, I'll check that off. We're on 7.4.2, technical review fee. Is that okay with everyone?
Yes,
Good.
yes.
Yep.
Advertising fee was paid. General information. Most everything is complete so far. I'm in 8.2 and everything is complete. There's a question here. 8.2. After part H, has to do with information submitted, or board consider the information submitted to us to be sufficient, or do we require documentation from Maine DEP, that additional permit? The planning board requires documentation, Maine DEP, that additional permitting is now needed. It's got me confused.
Which one are you on?
Where are you, Royce?
I'm 8 we're in 8.2. We're in part H. Is the information submitted to us is it sufficient? Or do we need more documentation?
In my book, 8.2H is different.
Yeah, that's the drainage courses and
I don't know. Okay, this is like stuck in the middle of here someplace. I'm gonna go buy that one because it doesn't make it. I can't really make sense of why it was there in the first place. Because it doesn't look like there's anything missing.
yeah, looks good.
Yeah, well, like I said, on my paper, under H, it's got a question, and I can't really make sense of it.
Right, the H has the open drainage courses, wetlands, stone walls, graveyards, fences, and natural areas, deer wintering areas. You remember that habitat book that we had? Significant wildlife, scenic areas, but that's already a developed area of the airport.
So the question they're asking is, do we consider the information sufficient as presented to us? Or do we need the main DEP to tell us that additional permitting is not needed?
So there's already an overall permit for the airport that we had to get for the town's project. So we put in Chimbro's project and Curtis's project. So they would be within that. And then there's a little bit of area left over. So we have that permit. So this hangar is being developed in an area that was already developed, you know, right up front of the airport. So you should be okay.
Yeah, okay.
So it's sufficient then.
Yeah. We don't need the DEP to tell us that additional permitting is not required.
Right.
So it's sufficient information for us. It's kind of threw me for a loop. But anyway, it's sufficient. We're going to keep going down because we don't have really a lot of questions because pretty much everything is covered. And again, we've got another, just because they're at 8.3 under J, general description of the proposed use or activity. Do we require additional information or is the information sufficient?
I think it's sufficient.
Good.
I don't see why we need more information myself. Daily traffic. Is that sufficient or do we want more information about the traffic?
Can I just get a clarification on something at this point, I guess?
Yes, you can.
All right, in the appendix 2, since we're under proposed, what's it called? Proposed development activity. In that appendix 2, there's 2 drawings in there that looks at the a new unit 6T hangar. And then there's around that, it talks about putting in some new storm drain system on that sheet 6. That's not applicable here. That was just,
That's part of the permitting, Mark, from the town hangar, I think.
okay,
Yep.
that's all
That's
separate
correct.
though. That's all separate. Nothing, that's not gonna happen.
Not in this project. That one will be headed in here too. Not the stormwater, but the town's hangar.
Okay, but under what we're looking at, those 2 sheets, just for my clarification, aren't applicable. It is extra information, really. Is everybody agreed with that?
Right.
Okay. And that storm drain, all that storm drain is being proposed under the T hangar project?
That goes with the town project, but it also goes with the overall airport and is permitted by DEP. The town
Gotcha.
actual.
Okay. That's all I needed. I needed clarification. That's where I was going with that other question in understanding those sheets and that additional little bit there.
They were just everything going on at the airport.
I'm sorry, Catherine?
I'm sorry, they're just showing everything that was going on at the airport.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, the next one that we have a question to answer is 8.3 part A, and it has to do with estimate of peak hour and daily traffic. Is that information sufficient for us?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or do we think it's going to cause a snarl up?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Of air traffic or road traffic?
Yeah.
Good question. Good question. Utilization of the site under 9.1. That should be. Do we want additional information, or is everything good?
Sufficient.
Good.
I think it's sufficient.
We kind of know what they're going to do. So. Okay, under 9.2, parts A and B. Planning board waives the requirement of 9.2A and B above. It's not applicable to the private airport hangar, or we want more, we want a financial guarantee and additional information. Do we waive the requirements, or do we want a financial guarantee?
Wave.
Wave.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Yep. Wave.
The next one is 9.9, erosion control. Is the information on how they're going to control erosion sufficient for us?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Natural features. No changes to natural features, so information is sufficient.
Yes.
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 Good, I already checked it, so glad you said that. Pretty much it's all straight and forward. We just have a few questions on the form, so. So now I will ask for a motion to approve. You can approve it as applied, or approve it as it's written. We can approve it with conditions, and or we don't. I haven't seen any conditions. We haven't written down any conditions over the course of the review. So, yeah, motion to approve or not.
I make a motion that we approve the application as written.
I'll second that.
Oh, go ahead.
Mark seconded it first, I think.
Yeah.
It's close between Mark and Tom.
Well, it's a second, so you get two of them.
Put
All
both
in
our
favor-
names
All
down.
in favor of approval of the application, say, raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, application approved.
All right, which meant no public hearing.
And today is the 10th.
And
I gotta bring this into the town office tomorrow night.
We have to come in and sign that, Royce?
I don't know if there's anything to sign on this one. Oh, yeah, I didn't go back to the
all right.
public hearing of the a site review, site visit. But I don't think, I didn't see anything amiss, so I'm gonna kind of assume that neither one of us wanted a site visit or a
Yeah,
public hearing.
It's approved now.
Yeah,
that's right.
so,
Royce, if I may,
Yes.
at the end of the last drawing in Appendix 1, there is a signature page on that, I believe, which is required by your application process for the planning board members to sign. So
So we'll
we
go ahead
appreciate
and
your
sign
approval,
that.
but we want to make sure we don't miss anything.
So that will probably be, is the easiest way to have it in the town office, Catherine?
Yeah,
Pull one of these out, put it out front, and you can sign it, and it's the right size and everything.
okay.
Does something like that have to go to the registry of deeds?
Yes.
Yeah, so it would have to be signed.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
There
really?
one from, last month for the self-storage?
Yes,
We have to sign that one too?
For the, Mr. Picard application did not have the little diagram with the block on it. He's working on that.
Okay. So anyway, we've got to go into the town office and sign this one, and then I got to deliver you the finding of facts.
And we'll have your letter ready.
Okay. So far, so good.
Well, if I may, thank you all very much. We appreciate it. We appreciate the support of the town of Pittsfield and the planning board specifically on this. And we're anxious to get to work with the way construction's going right now, and materials and all that. We have a tall order ahead of us, and we're anxious to get started. So we appreciate this very much. Thank you.
I appreciate that
Thank you.
the review
good
is
luck.
in order. I like things when they're in order like that. I like these.
Makes our job easier. Good
Okay,
luck.
the other part, and this is the finding of facts. For the new hangar improvement by Northeast Skywagon. It doesn't seem like anything's really filled out the way it's supposed to be. Our finding of facts document doesn't really have any information here. I'm wondering how we're gonna approach this.
Maybe they should have Chimbro do theirs too.
I was thinking about that, yeah. I was Timbros first, because you know, it's got some information, but it doesn't have the questions answered that should be answered.
Is there anyone representing them
I don't know. Is
in
there?
this meeting?
I thought Caleb would be on here. I sent the notice to him, and he may be clicking on. I can try to get a hold of him.
There he is.
There's Joel.
Yeah, I was going to say, is this the Curtis Air one? Catherine,
Yeah.
is this the one for, right, okay, it was under a slightly different name. Yeah,
Right.
there was,
Fine.
whenever I viewed these for the findings of fact, there was a lot of information not in there. It was like the polar opposite of the Chimbro one.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
It's like we can't even deal with it right now because we don't have any answers to.
yeah, I don't even, unless I just didn't get it in the information I received, there wasn't even an actual application form included either, so.
I've got a finding of facts document, but there's no information on it. It's just.
I filled that out based on what was submitted, and that is why there's so little information, because that's what I reviewed, and that's all we had. So there would certainly be a request for a lot more information before you could make a decision on this, I'd imagine.
Yeah, and what we got in this binder is just basically, they just printed out our ordinance. They didn't give us any well, you know, we got some general information like addresses and things like that, but
Well, I know Caleb is working on it. And was working on it last week.
There's some information, but not enough to let us go through the whole process tonight.
Mhm. Mhm.
Well, doesn't an applicant have to be here for us to do it anyways?
I don't think they have to be here. Usually they have a representative, at least somebody,
Or at least a representative, yeah, okay.
Right.
somebody to explain what's going on. But there's no application fee paid. There's no, we have general information. We know who they are, but
Yeah, the application fee was paid after you got your package. Some of the information has been put together. There is a lease with the town and an assignment that just took place.
but I don't see how we can approve it tonight. Without, it's like we have an incomplete review. And I don't want to just make assumptions. I can't just make assumptions.
Do it, finish this next meeting.
Yeah, so I would say that we would postpone this site plan review to next meeting.
I agree.
I don't know. I don't think we need a motion for that either.
We have no choice. Yeah.
Unless we're gonna vote to table it, but there's not enough information. We can just say we're gonna do it next month when we get more information.
I know they're under a serious time frame to get the project started, but I did expect Caleb would be here so we could go through the application and complete it.
They try, Catherine, is this hangar, I didn't get out of it, is this, do they have to put a new foundation on this hangar?
This one would need a foundation.
It would, yeah, okay. I didn't get that from understanding really the application.
Or at least I thought it would, because it's in a new location. It should have to have a foundation, I would think.
Yeah, it's raw land. It needs a new foundation. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, you know about it, Brent? You know
Yes.
you know exactly where they're putting it?
Yes.
A lot. Mhm.
I mean, I'll do whatever everybody wants to do. If they want to go through it, we can go through it, but if the chairman feels that we should move it till next month, then I'm okay with that too,
I think if we went through it, we'd find enough holes in it so that we couldn't pass it tonight anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Nobody to answer questions.
Yeah.
I'd agree. Based on my review, there's no way you'd be able to make a decision on this, so you're probably just wasting your time, and I understand.
There would be so many conditions and
Well, especially if nobody's here to at least present it.
Yeah, I think that's kind of important.
Yeah.
so, yeah. Unless somebody really wants to go through it tonight. But like I said, we're gonna have so many questions and so many holes in it that we'll have to wait till next month to answer those questions anyway. So we might as well just do it all in one shot.
All right, so I had offered to help Caleb. Joel, can I have you assist too, so that we can help him with his application so he can get it done?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We can list out what's still needed, and feel free to put him in touch with me if you'd like to.
Okay, is the application fee has been paid?
Yes,
Um,
on Friday, last Friday.
so everything's all set there. How about a technical review fee? Do we need one? I'm gonna have to,
So we gonna go through it?
I know.
Is that what we're doing, or?
you want to go through this, Catherine? Are you sure?
I didn't say, I said I was gonna help Caleb with the application and ask Joel if he could assist too.
So we can plan on it for next month, right?
I know this is gonna be tight, but, you know, I did expect Caleb would be here this evening. And I
Yeah.
told him
Can
if
we
I,
do,
if
can we
he,
do an emergency meeting, or if they had the information put together in a week? Or does that have to be a notification, 2-week notification?
That's an idea.
yeah, that's an idea. All right, we'll
We
see.
can throw everything together. We can just, you can email everybody and we can get together and,
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you.
because like I said, right now, I think we're just kind of like, you know,
Yeah, there's a lot of additional information
Yeah,
needed.
just fill in the gaps and get it submitted.
Okay,
so, all right, so, we will take this up. If you can try to get it, set up so we, and, notify us, then we can have a special meeting.
Monday, next Monday.
Or, whenever it's convenient.
Okay,
And,
I won't put it in my calendar then.
well, yeah, I don't know.
We'll contact you. Thank you for the
Okay.
opportunity.
But it's a lot easier when we have answers.
I understand.
Okay, what else is on our agenda?
The access road.
The access road, Nate said he had the permit for that. That you mean for his,
Yes, he said he had gotten his DOT permit today in the mail.
yeah, so he should be
Right.
submitting that to us.
That was the only question I had on the meeting that took place and the findings of fact.
Okay, do we want to, I'll just move on to the next item on the agenda, and that's discussion items. Is there any discussion concerning the subdivisions or changes to the subdivision ordinance? I think when Joel gave his presentation, it mostly was just the language, just, tweaking the language in the ordinance, but otherwise the ordinance didn't seem like it was out of whack. And I think we could probably use his recommendations if we're going to change the ordinance at all.
So I think what the town council is looking for is there any way that we could, make it easier for development following the regulations, of course. And so what I would suggest here, because you're going to have apparently more site plan applications coming here and probably more after that. We have the Pittsfield Economic Expansion Corporation that might be able to review some different projects and propose some language to you. And the Pittsfield Economic Expansion Corporation is mostly former town councilors and former people that have worked with the town over the years.
Yeah.
So we could do that to try to help you. I'm just their treasurer because we have money with the town, or the money is in one of the town accounts for projects.
Would they come and talk to us as a
Oh,
board?
certainly. Yes, once they have some language together. I'm volunteering them here, but I did check with a few members to see if they would be interested. Because it looks like you're going to have a pretty busy summer.
Okay. But tonight, like I said, it seemed to me when I was listening to Joel that all we wanted to do, all we would need to do is tweak a little bit of the language here and there. But and I know from looking at the state ordinances, if you want to just chase every one of these references they give you, you're going to find that it agrees with the ordinance we've got. So, we'll do what we can do. Yeah, if the Pittsfield Economic Expansion Corporation wants to set up a time and give a little presentation, we can do that sometime. We can do that even on a special meeting if we had to.
All right, so what we'll do is when they have the next meeting, I'll talk with them to see They've got copies of some of the different subdivision ordinance materials that I gave you all, and see if there's anything that they would be interested in talking with you about. And then I'll let you know ahead of time.
Okay. Sounds good. I said, you know, well, I guess I can't really speak for everybody. A Zoom meeting really doesn't take a lot out of my life. I don't even really have to get dressed. I can just, I can be wearing my pajamas.
That's right.
So, you know, it doesn't bother me to listen to it when it's not on a regular meeting night.
Thank you.
Sometimes if we got a lot of work to do, maybe that's easier to do, is have a special meeting night.
Right.
And we don't have to crowd our time in.
No, very good. Thank you.
Anything else that we got? If not, we can kind of consider an adjournment.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
I don't know where everybody went, but
Second.
probably already adjourned. So, okay. I'll say it's a vote doubted, so we'll look for an email to set up the hangar and you know, set up that application, and we'll look for information on Pittsfield Economic Expansion Corporation
And the demonstration.
and a demonstration from them. Okey doke.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm gonna try
Good
to get,
night.
I'm gonna try to get down to the town office tomorrow so I can sign papers for you, Catherine.
That sounds good. Thank you so much.
Okay. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.